The G spot. I'd hit that.
Welcome to the Gear Spot podcast. My name's Rachel Bradshaw and I have a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu.
Hey there, I'm Kaz and I have a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu. How you doing?
That's like the first time in weeks we've done this.
I know, because I've been good, right?
Yeah.
I was almost sitting on my hands.
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing okay, I think.
Yeah? You're not sure?
It's been a big week, actually. It's been a big week in my little autistic world.
Right.
Over here. So, yeah, it's from that I think I'm tired. But that's okay. It's been a good week. It's been progressively a good week.
Good.
Yeah, how about you? How's your week been?
Oh, there's always ups and downs to life, and there's a bit of a trough at the moment, but we're getting through it and moving on. And
it does prove we are really just human, right?
we are so human, and we all make mistakes, and we all do things right, and it's all often a mishmash of everything at once. So it's a big melting pot at the moment, but it is.
But we're here, and we're going to get through another great episode on the G spot.
Yes,
not the G spot.
Definitely not the G spot. We spell it G-I and it's pronounced gi, like what we wear when we do jiu-jitsu. It's a funny play on words, actually. Yeah. I have to say, like today's topic, I sort of said to you, this is what I want to talk about. And it's kind of like, that has the potential again of being a little bit of a heavier topic. And I was laughing on my way here because I was like, the last couple of episodes we've done, the one on loyalty, which was like a bit of a heavier sort of more serious topic, but we still had plenty of laughs in. And then the episode we did last week with Grant, which I thought was so cool and so much information in there. Love that episode. And it's really interesting, because...
Are you at all biased in that statement?
No, I was actually going to say, like, I'm married to the guy, right? But I was sitting here as a parent and a coach, and I learnt so much new information from that episode. So honestly recommend, like, if you're a parent or a coach or have children in this space, because it was all about children and being athletes
and adults too.
And adults, some of that as well, and learning and all that sort of stuff. So if you're sort of interested in that topic, that's to me that was a must listen episode. It was really
We'll do another
cool.
round on that too.
Yeah, I can't wait to get him back for part 2. So today's episode, all about, is jiu-jitsu a cult?
Yes.
The cultiness
Top down
of
pyramid.
jiu-jitsu.
It's a pyramid, right? It's a pyramid.
Well, there's a triangle.
Yeah. Isn't that what they are in Egypt? And they call them a pyramid.
That's kind of true.
There you go.
That's kind of true. It is the structure. And on our Chris Howder seminar, he was talking a little bit about that too. The very nature of it is you'll usually have someone at the head or the helm, the head coach, and everyone learns from them, and it comes down, and you've got your senior students and then your newer students. But what probably doesn't make it a cult is the fact that you don't have to sort of sell up your life savings and give all money into the gym for the honour of staying there, or you certainly don't have to drink any Kool-Aid if the police knock on the door.
That's very true, yes. Yeah, that's
do not drink the Kool-Aid.
It's a good cult. You don't have to die for the cause. And look, I still think there's probably some gyms out there that are way more about that than, and I'm not saying die for the cause by any stretch, but there's probably varying degrees of clubs that have the hierarchy, the protocols in place that must be adhered to and must be followed. And, Iconic's fairly relaxed in that regard, but we've been to, we come from the Gracie Baja process in our previous world, and there was very much a process that you had to follow and bow before and bow to the photo on the wall and all the rest of it, and that still goes on. And I'm sure there's even more than that, beyond that out there probably. I don't know, I haven't been to places that are, but that is very cultish, right? That's very almost religious, like you're praying to God on the wall or Jesus on the cross, etc. and so forth. So I think there are similarities that can be relatable to those kind of things.
It's very interesting. We're going to dig right deep into it today.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Because I'm such a religious nut.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't had experiences in gyms that were like that.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably come from, Gracie Baja, and it's well known across the world. If anyone's going to be accused of being a little bit culty, it is that franchise, right? And it's no secret. People, I think, in it know it. You sort of don't know it maybe until you're in it, that's what the rest of the jiu-jitsu world may think. But it's certainly plenty of stuff on Reddit, online and stuff like that about it. I don't know. I think it could be a little bit unfair. I just think probably they have a very good business model where they kind of...
And that's where I want to draw a line for a second, because it is really easy for people to go, oh, it's a cult and it's this and that and this and that. And I can see the similarities and I can see how people would come to that conclusion. But let's take a step back for a second. You can't open up a McDonald's franchise unless you go to McDonald's University.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you learn everything there is to learn about, even down to your staff must say, would you like fries with that? Because they have the upsell model from the minute a staff member becomes a staff member.
Yep.
Every McDonald's you go into should be exactly the same. The menu exactly the same. In some countries, in Thailand, they will tailor it slightly different, but there is still the Big Mac, the quarter pounder, the French fries, the chocolate sundae.
And it doesn't matter where you go, those fries taste the same.
Exactly. And why do they do that? They do that because it sells, it makes money, and you are guaranteed everywhere you go, you are getting the same experience. It's trust.
Yep.
You build trust. Now, with Gracie Baja, we went around a country and we went and trained in so many gyms, and they had that model. We got to go in, we got to train for free, we had the same experience wherever we went, we knew what we were walking into. There is almost that human comfort, that they're relying on that trust build, that's where you'll go. Just like McDonald's.
Yep.
Is McDonald's a cult? I don't know, just putting it out there.
I don't know. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's. It's really funny. Just on that note, we have down the road, as you know, a McDonald's that sits next to a Hungry Jack's.
Yep.
And my son and I were having this exact conversation the other day where we were like, it's habit to go into the Macca's drive-through.
Yep.
Hungry Jack's is right there.
Yep.
And we know every time we opt for Hungry Jack's,
Yep.
we get a better experience, better food, yummier chips,
Yep.
yummier burgers. Everything's ice cream's better there. Everything's better there.
Yep.
But we'll not go there because we're so pre-programmed to going into Macca's.
Yep.
For
There's your cult.
whatever reason.
Exactly. But that's my whole point.
There is the
I
cult.
know, that's right. And they're not wrong in doing it because that's how a human works.
Yeah.
You will build that comfort. People do not step out of their comfort zones easily. It takes effort. It takes conditioning. It takes self-control to step away from something that it's all you've known.
Isn't it so weird though? Because it's the very opposite of what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be about.
Yes, step into the discomfort.
Right. So the whole point of jiu-jitsu is to step out of your comfort zone. And by stepping on the mats, stepping out of your comfort zone, becoming comfortable in uncomfortable positions.
Yep.
And then they've done the most wonderful thing of creating that to be comfortable again. And so then you get safe back in that bubble of safety, knowing exactly what to expect no matter where you go. If it's another Baja, you're going to go to exact same.
That's exactly right.
And you know what class is being taught and you know how it's going to be structured you know all of those things in advance. So there's no discomfort to be expected.
Yep. And you're not walking into a different gym like a newbie, not really understanding what's going to go on. So they're removing that discomfort from the process as well. And I think that's smart.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, and I'm all about the analytics in business, right? That's my corporate background. I think that's super smart. Do I think it's pyramid, a cult? Of course. Amway didn't last for bloody 50 years because they were idiots. Amway lasted and is still in existence today because they identified with a business model that they could hook humans. That's and we're flawed individuals. We're a flawed race in that regard. We will always seek comfort.
So bizarre, but so true. So true. Look, the one thing that always makes it not a cult is the fact that you can leave at any time you like.
Yes. You've got to give yourself permission to leave, right? We've talked about this before. And so, while we laugh about it and go, you can just pull stumps and go, they know that that's hard. So it's not just, you can pull stumps. A lot of people have to give a lot of thought into pulling stumps and going, or there has to be almost like a catalyst trigger to make you want to pull stumps and go. And they rely on that because, again, you just get comfortable. And even if it's a little bit uncomfortable for whatever reason, most will just stay.
And some business models actually make the process of exiting harder.
Yeah.
You have to give us a long period of notice.
Yep.
You're in a contract, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so you sit there and you might be a bit disgruntled or something might have happened, and then you think, oh man, but I've got to give like 3 months notice to even get out of here. Well, how do I know that I'm not going to be over this in 3 months' time? I might be happy here again. And so you sit on it and you wait and years can pass you by.
Absolutely.
Before you actually finally just go, you know what? Actually, no, nothing's changing. We need to exit this program.
And there's the other side too. Like if somebody's got a long, lengthy exit strategy, well, that's double fees, right? Because you still want to continue training. You've gone somewhere else. So all of a sudden now you're paying double. Times are hard. And they're not getting any easier with governments in play and God knows what, and cost of living rising through the roof. So that would be another factor in there that gyms would rely on. If it has to be 3 months or whatever the case may be, then are you really going to be inclined to want to go and pay double fees somewhere? Probably not.
I don't think so. And so a lot of people stay through that discomfort period, or they stop training altogether.
Yeah.
I shouldn't advertise it because maybe I'm not such a smart business person after all, but we don't have lock-in contracts with our students. So they're free to come and go as they please. It's not always the best, especially when you've got people that are dipping in and out frequently. And I'm sort of at the moment thinking about what I need to do about that. I'm not in the business of keeping anyone against their will, but I'm also not in the business of, it's a membership. It's not a pay as you go or, see what I'm coming from. And the other thing we have done from time to time is when people have been locked into those very uncomfortable, long exit contract or agreements with their previous gym, is that we've kind of met them halfway with their fees and gone, hey, we know that you're still paying full fees over there. How about you come and train and we'll cut you a deal just to get you through, because we know it sucks and you really want to be here and we would love to have you here. So how about we sort of help you in that way? As I said, probably not great business model stuff, but...
Look, I think... I've been in business a really long time, right? And I've worked for really big corporates and I've worked for startups, and I've seen colossal fuck-ups just because people are so, not egocentric, but just so controlling around the business model of making dollars.
Yeah.
I think you guys, you're different in that you bring a real human element to it to the forefront. The fact that somebody can walk in and you would be open to that, and you've also got the added benefit for you guys that you're not under a franchise.
Yes.
You're not constricted about your freedom, what you can and cannot do.
Yep.
This is entirely 100% your choice.
Yeah.
And I would think that in itself is a huge thing, right? People going into these franchises, and again, speaking from experience, not jiu-jitsu, but Matt and I owned a Gloria Jean's franchise for, 5 years.
Yeah, it was probably about 5 years.
Oh, hello.
Hey, that's my husband. He sounds like that.
We've just had an upgrade to our studio again, and this is where we get to hear producer Matt dip in every now and then.
He's not just a shadow in the background nodding or shaking his head.
He's a real boy.
Careful, his nose will grow.
That's not all that will grow.
Hey!
Stop it. It's the geese spot.
Although I invited it. No, I'm not going there. Anyway, so we owned a franchise for 5 years, and we very naively in that business model, stuck to every single rule. I mean, we're talking like you could build a forest with the paper that we had to read through for their franchise agreement, right? And when we sold the business, we watched the next guy come in who bought it off us and just completely ignore every rule that the franchisors had put in place, did his own thing, built the business back up. I mean, we are not hospitality people. So we were not good at it, even following their rules.
That's hilarious. Sorry.
And he came in, built it all back up by not following their rules, and as long as he was paying their fees,
Yep.
they were kind of like, oh, well, whatever. So I think if you are in that structure where you don't have that freedom, maybe, and something's not sitting right, push back a little bit, right? Like not every model is 100% guaranteed to be right. And that's where I would say probably, you know, from that pyramid kind of structure, where did it derive from? How long has it been in play? And I'm not just talking Gracie Barra. I'm talking anybody that's out there under a business model at the moment.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Where did it derive from? How long has it been in play? And has it evolved through the times? Has there been any changes to it to accommodate the evolution of humanity? And if the answer to that is no, then maybe it's time for a refresh. Perhaps.
So, all right, well, that's at a business level. Let's talk about the human level now. So, you know, for years now, I've read so much stuff online, and I've had even real life experiences with myself where people who know you from before you start training or are in your life, you know, throughout the period that you train, and start to see changes in you. And you may start getting comments like, you're not the person you used to be.
I would hope not.
Who wants to be stuck, right? Or you've changed, man. Or you've just got no time for us anymore. Like all you think about is jiu-jitsu. Or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
it does become very consuming.
So the outside world starts to look at you and go, are you in a cult? Like this is almost like we've lost our person to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and how to navigate some of these relationships, and some things that I've seen and also had thrown at me. So have you ever had any experiences like that?
No, we've been pretty fortunate, and I think it's, you know, our reasons for coming to jiu-jitsu are very different to yours, right? So we've been very publicly open about the fact that jiu-jitsu is part of Match Therapy Room. And no matter how involved we've been with it, how much it might have modified our lives, who we are as people or anything like that, everybody around us knows why we are in jiu-jitsu. And I think anybody that coming at us negatively about that would cop my fist in their face anyway. Because
they know not to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, I don't joke when I say it was a part of his therapy. I don't joke when I say, as far as I am concerned, what I have been through with this man over the last, you know, since the accident, jiu-jitsu saved our marriage. Yep. You know, it's been such a catalyst part of him regrouping and him being able to find himself again and him getting back to some level of humanity. If somebody was to come to us at that point and go, oh, you've changed. Yeah, well, good. Absolutely, I have. So fuck off, you know, if you don't like it. So we've been fortunate in that regard.
So the ways in which jiu-jitsu will change you, right, and the things that people will see. And it really starts to highlight, I think, unhealthy relationships. Because anyone who sees these following changes in you should be celebrating that, not being
running you into the ground.
Running you into the ground or be upset by it. So one of the major changes I think someone will experience once they start doing jiu-jitsu is an increased level of confidence, which brings with it assertiveness, not passivity. Is that a word?
Passiveness, yeah.
Passiveness, right? So, you know, the way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself, walking around with that head held a little higher.
Yeah.
Not be afraid to maybe have a confrontational conversation if someone makes you feel like shit. Not just being able to stand up for yourself a little bit more.
And I think that takes a few years
I do
in
too.
jiu-jitsu. Like that's for any white belts out there. Please don't wonder why you're not walking 2 inches taller than, 6 weeks ago when you started. It does come. I agree with you. I know our 15-year-old Willow, who when she started jiu-jitsu, anxiety riddled, like you couldn't leave her alone, she was frightened and everything. You've met Willow now, like we'll get her on for an episode one time, but she does stand taller. She does command her presence when she walks into a room and everything, and there are still elements of her where a lot of that is a persona and she's putting a shield on and she's good, but I would take that any day to the girl that she was.
Yep.
And we talked about it with Jerry too, that when you're in a room, stand that little bit taller so you don't look like the easy prey.
Yep.
So I think that's a phenomenal thing that jiu-jitsu will give someone. Why would anybody want to take away from that?
Because I think there's unhealthy relationships and there's people in your life that will have codependency. And you may have codependency with them, or they've always kind of had this thing over you, or, maybe it's your boss and suddenly you're not just taking crap from them anymore, or maybe it's like a relative who treats you poorly and suddenly you're standing up to them. So it can be confronting to those people to suddenly see a shift in you where you're not being downtrodden by them anymore, or just taking what they say, or just going with the flow. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yep.
So those I think are really important things, and it's just by that one little shift, that increased level of confidence and assertiveness that comes with that. It's not aggressiveness, but it is like...
No, but it's a self-belief.
Yeah.
It's a self-belief that you're worth it. You're worth the ability to stand up for yourself.
You are worth defending.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Your resilience, that's another thing. So maybe things are a little bit more like Teflon now.
Water off a duck's back.
It could even be where you used to like fly off the handle or be overly emotional. Now you're a little bit calmer.
No, I don't.
Rubbish.
I still fly off the handle. Don't walk calm. No comment from the background.
Sorry, I can get used to this microphone situation.
I can see how that would be the case for other people, yes, because, when I guess for everybody, you understand, right? When you're in a role, you're either going to win or lose. There's no real, whether it's by points, whether it's by your own mindset, whether it's by tapping, whether it's whatever, you're walking away from that either celebrating in your head what you got right and what you can do better, or you're commiserating in your head what you didn't get right and what you need to do better. That's a real adrenaline push. You have to be uncomfortable for periods of time. You are feeling pain at some level. That's not an everyday thing as we walk through life.
Most people will never put themselves in that position.
Yeah. Yep.
Most people won't. And us crazy lot, we do it on a regular basis, sometimes even once or twice a day, right? Why?
Yeah. No, that's you.
Because everything starts to get easier anyway.
Yep.
And even that feeling of discomfort becomes easier to deal with.
But when you're doing it on the mats and you're feeling that intensity and you're feeling that pressure and you're feeling that pain and you're enduring, and you're getting to the other side and you're going back to do it again at your own request, at your own choice, then all of a sudden when something out in the real world's beating down on you, you're like, oh, fuck that, whatever. And you move on to the next thing, right? You don't realise the resilience it's building in you.
Yes.
And you don't realise, even as you're going through, like you're saying now, that the point of this is that other people are noticing it about you. You don't realise that you're walking that little bit taller. You don't realise that it's given you that little bit of extra self-confidence, or that all of a sudden the nitpicky going on in your family home or at work or whatever doesn't matter anymore, because what you're thinking about is how you're going to get out of that next fucking triangle.
Yeah.
Then that's an awesome thing. If somebody raises it to your attention, irrelevant of whether they're doing it negatively or positively, take it as a compliment. Just run with it.
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption here. We just wanted to shout out to all our Central Coast and New South Wales listeners. One of our great mates has started a new business, Central Coast Supplements.
Damien's a great guy who also happens to be a veteran. And as you guys know, My Broken Productions and Iconic are huge supporters of our veterans and first responders. So we'd love to see you guys get behind this awesome new business.
If you're looking for protein supplements, healthy snacks for the kids, or just all-round better health options for the family, check out Damien's website, centralcoastsupplements.com.au.
And guys, make sure you remember to use the discount code GISPOT. That's GI space SPOT. GISPOT at the checkout. Now, where were we, Rach?
I feel like the way that it may spill over into the real world, though, is that if someone starts to come at you or question your relationship with them, or you just don't have time for me anymore, or, just start with all of that crap that comes in, that you can almost sit there and just go, what's important to me right now?
Yep.
Do I actually need this in my life?
Mm-hmm. I've said that many times to friends going through different things. What is the outcome you need from this? What do you want this to be? Mm-hmm. Not what is the other person going on with. We can't change other people's opinions. We cannot force our own beliefs, our own opinions, our own ideals onto other people, and we can't make them be what we want them to be. What we can do is figure out what we need in that situation. Mm. Do we need to vent? Do we need to end it? Do we need to walk away, or do we need to just accept? Yeah. This is the person, this is their persona, this is what they're bringing to the table, and for whatever reason I need to keep them in my life. They might be your boss, and therefore you've got to rock up every day. Then acceptance is such a huge thing to get to.
Yeah.
And if through the process of this sport you get to learn that endurance and acceptance and the ability to Teflon, if you get those skill sets, then you get to take a deep breath, rise above it and just go, okay.
What ifs? What ifs? Go through this old chestnut again.
That's exactly right. And I wrote that in a post that I put up on my Instagram. I think it was yesterday. So I told you we had gone through this thing, right, through my journey through autism. And Matt and I had to write down this journey of how I cope with things and how I do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Not BJJ relevant, but anyway. In part of what I wrote, I said, I finally have got to a point in my life where every single person I meet, every single person that listens to these episodes, every single person that crosses my path for a minute or a lifetime is going to draw an opinion of who they think I am. What I now get to do with that is choose the people I want to listen to that opinion of. And anybody else, that's just noise. So, it's no secret that I have a very up and down relationship with my mother, and I got to a point where I just went, you're noise. I love you. You're my mum. I will always be in your life, but you're noise. So I think it's really important that as we go through and we build and we get through our journey in jiu-jitsu, as we're learning these things about ourselves, as we're learning that we're stronger than we thought we were, as we're learning that we're more capable than we thought we were, and as we're learning that we're really good people, we can also learn to just rise above it and go, that's okay. Yep. You're allowed to have your opinion because everybody will.
Yep. And I'm not going to change you, but all I can do is change me.
That's it. Yep. And I can buy into what I want to buy into. Like if you came to me tomorrow and said, Kaz, we got to have a chat. You're doing this and it's really fucking me over. You're an important person in my life. I would choose to listen to that. I'm not saying I'd change it in a heartbeat. I might justify why I'm doing it or try to at least explain why I'm doing it. Or I might go, holy shit, I need to change that because I don't want to hurt you. But again, it comes down to those layers. Who are the people's opinions that count?
Yep.
And if they're not, enjoy the fact that jiu-jitsu is giving you the ability to go, fuck you, fucktard. There it is.
So, Kaz, can we have a chat?
I don't like it when you say fucktard. I did say there are some things I'm prepared to change.
I thought we had an agreement you get one an episode. You've already done 2 now.
Yeah, but you walked me into it. I couldn't help myself.
You know, I read this thing the other day. It was really, really cool. And what you were just talking just reminded me of it then. When 2 people sit down, there's actually 6 people in the room.
Okay, break that down for me.
There's the person that they want the other person to see them as.
Yes.
There's the person that they see themselves as.
Yes.
And there's the person that they really are.
Yep. And you know what happens with that? Every experience that you and one other person go through that is identical, because of that reason, both people come out the other side with 2 completely different memories, 2 completely different experiences on how they will describe it and all the rest of it. That's why police are so good and teachers and all the rest of it. If you've got 2 kids standing here and the story of what happened is identical, then you know for sure they're lying.
Yeah. Because it's collusion.
That's it.
It's collusion.
2
And
things will never be the same.
And that's why I think the cause of disagreements really comes about differing expectations.
Yep.
When expectations clash. So one person has this expectation, the other person has this expectation, and they've clashed because they haven't been aligned, that's when you'll have a blow up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that comes down to a lot of times too around communication. Matt and I talk about this a lot in our other podcasts. Communication is such a critical part of any journey. And, you know, whether it's you communicating with your coach, you're communicating with your members, you're communicating with your training partners, you know, husband and wife coming onto the mat. We've talked about that before as well. But sometimes you're going to, you know, I always get accused of coming across too harsh in my communication, right? And so that's something that I've had to work on. But it's never my intent. When I'm being accused of it, I'm always quite surprised, and then I get annoyed. Yeah. Then they feel what it's like to have me cranky.
Stop telling me I'm cranky.
Yeah.
Now I really am cranky because you thought I was cranky,
That's right,
but I wasn't
yeah.
cranky.
You're wrong.
And I'm right.
Yeah. And now I'm cranky. That's pretty much how my life goes. But communication is such an integral part of any journey. If you want to get the best out of jiu-jitsu for yourself, then you have to understand that not everybody communicates like you. And so if there are things going on in that process, you have to understand the person that you need or you're seeking the help, the advice or the change from, and understand that they're not necessarily going to hear it the way you intend it. So go slow, be patient, figure it out together. And it's the same on the receiving end, you know, like you've got to be prepared to be open to listening to it.
Yep.
And I would hope that if you're in jiu-jitsu long enough, you're learning those skill sets, because you've got to learn to tap, right? You've got to take the ego out of the equation, and that's a big thing.
Yes.
For white belts, blue belts, I'm a purple belt, I still don't have it down pat.
Oh, look, ego. I think ego gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes, especially on the mats. Like, leave the ego at the door. But, you know, ego is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, ego can be healthy.
Yep.
Ego is sometimes wrapped up with all of those other things, like your self-confidence and your belief in yourself and your worth and all of this sort of stuff. That's
Everybody has an ego. It's just a varying levels.
Yeah. What we're saying when we say leave your ego at the door is don't be so egotistical that you will break a shoulder before you'll tap.
Yeah.
So that's what that means.
Yeah.
But there's ego on the mats. Of course there is.
Yeah, there has to be. There's ego in humanity. So you're never going to eradicate it. You're just asking. You don't always have to be the biggest dog on the mat or off the mat.
So specifically bringing it back to when we've got people in our lives that aren't in jiu-jitsu and we are, how does having better resilience help us cope with people who are upset with our journey or don't like the changes that they see in us?
Look, I think, and again, I it's not something that I experience. Most of my friends who don't do jiu-jitsu, and even the family that I do talk to, they just accept. So I've never really been in a scenario where it's like, oh, why? People will go, oh, I'm never doing that. Like, you're mad or you're nuts or whatever. But it's never been a character breakdown and put, since you've done jiu-jitsu, you've changed. I've never experienced that.
Right.
So I don't know how to answer that because it's not a scenario I've actually been through.
But then if there's people in your life that don't who start pointing out fault in you or start saying, I don't like these areas, or feel
Rach, I'm
confronted.
autistic and I'm ADHD. That's been happening my whole life. Like, that's nothing new.
I will say what I'm trying to get to then.
Yeah, you do it. I don't know how to answer that. I've been told I'm wrong my whole life.
I feel like the resilience that you build, it gives you that ability to say, well, this is who I am.
Yep.
And you can either come along for the journey or we can part ways here.
Yeah.
And I think that the resilience that you earn and learn helps you to be able to just go, okay, I'm actually going to be okay if you're in my life or if you're not.
I will say, since being at Iconic and watching the women's class, I see that every day. I see it. I don't necessarily so much see it in the broader sense because I'm not as close, I guess, to the broader community in that regard. But there are a handful of women that I've watched come through your women's class, and by Christ, everything about them has changed for the better. And they were beautiful people when they first came onto the mats. I'm not saying that, but watching that extra 2 inches in their walk, watching their growth on the mats, knowing some of them quite personally off the mats. I've seen a lot of that. I don't know if they're getting other people telling them they've changed, but I've seen them go through some pretty stressful situations in their own personal worlds and just breathe through it, just be able to endure and cop it on the chin. And I don't even know if they realise that putting themselves every week in such uncomfortable situations, they're consciously learning that endurance. I think a lot of this comes from the subconscious.
I think so too.
Yeah, very much so.
It sneaks up on you in the night.
What would you say?
About what?
If somebody came to you and said that to you?
Oh, sorry, what was the question? That's my ADHD brain kicked in.
You've changed.
I've changed.
Yeah, you're
Thank God I've
different.
changed.
Yeah.
Thank God I've changed. I don't want to be the person I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That person was broken. That person was not confident. That person would shrink herself in a room. That person was afraid to go into a party because that meant I had lots of interactions that I'd have to deal with. I was very shy. I was very naive.
Yeah.
Thank Christ I'm not that person anymore. Honestly.
Yeah.
And if I have people in my life that say you're not that person anymore, good.
Yep.
Because I've come so far since then.
Do you think it's all jiu-jitsu?
I think that jiu-jitsu has been the foundation of where I've learnt more about myself and where I've opened up to learning more about myself, to healing some of those broken wounds, to putting the pieces back together.
So break that down for me. How, in regards to traumatic experiences in your history, how has jiu-jitsu been a catalyst for healing?
Because I believe in myself. And it's probably as simple as that, because I've learnt to believe in myself.
Yep. There's a lot to be said for believing in one's worth.
Yep. 100%. I've spoken about this before, but I went through a pretty bad experience when I was about 20, and it was with a boss, and I came out of that experience very, very broken. When I started jiu-jitsu, I hadn't really thought about it. Every year around the anniversary of that experience, it would all flare up for me again, and I'd be like, oh, why am I thinking about this again? And I'd realize the date and I'd go, oh, okay, work through it, and then it'd last a couple of weeks and I'd be over it. When I got my blue belt, I remember distinctly thinking, if that person came near me, man, I'd be able to fuck them up now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I remember thinking it, and it was a real like thing that came with leveling up.
Yep.
The same thing happened when I got my purple. Look at me now.
Now I really could fuck him up.
Now I'm way better than I was a couple of years ago. Like now I could really look after myself.
Yeah.
And I'm so much more aware of my boundaries now, and I'm now teaching, so I'm so much more of women's empowerment and all this sort of stuff. and so I was kind of like, I thought through it, and then it lasted a couple of weeks again, and then I was over it. When I got my brown belt, it was kind of like a bit of a thought, but it was days later.
Yeah.
When I got my purple and my blue, it was like instantaneous, like Yeah. When I got my brown belt, it was like a week later or a few days later. And then when I got my black belt, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. It wasn't until probably a couple of months later that, it just kind of flickered in passing, and I was like, oh, I didn't even go through that. Now, in that, fairness, 10 years, had gone by in my jiu-jitsu journey,
of course,
and many more, we talk like this was probably a 20-year process, right?
Yeah.
So, I've had lots of time to just heal in general, but it was really interesting to me. Those moments were really highlighted, and that journey and those steps along the way, and how my own healing, my own self-belief, in being able to look after myself now, don't even think about coming near me. So
it's awesome, and I think, look, for male or female going through a lot of martial arts, I think, obviously we do jiu-jitsu, so that's the area that we talk from, but I think there is such a personal journey through martial arts. I think there is, you can play soccer, you can world-class athletes in every other sport, and I'm not taking away from how hard and what they have to endure to get to that level, but this is just everyday mums and dads and teenagers getting on the mats, right? And you're rocking up to a training match on a Thursday, and you're playing a game of soccer on Saturday, and it's 2 hours the week, and camaraderie and teammate and all the rest of it, and that's great. Not taking away from that. But if you're doing jiu-jitsu, you have to push yourself to go and do a full day's worth of work, engage with people, half of them you probably don't fucking like anyway, do things that you don't want to do, have to endure, and then come home, get changed, and put yourself into the car to drive out again to go to jiu-jitsu. You have to repetitiously do that 2 or 3 times a week. You have to
if you want to get any good at it.
If you want to get any good at it. Then you're getting sweaty and uncomfortable. You're rolling with people who you might not know, you haven't formed friendships with. Like, holy shit, you wouldn't do this with people at work, and you're with them 8, 9, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, right?
Most people aren't as close with their own family members.
Absolutely. Right? Yep. I don't know. My control would be lacking if I rolled with my brother. So you're doing this thing over and over and over again, but you're pushing yourself to do it to the point where it becomes addictive, right? And so you're pushing through and you're doing that. I guess to the side of it where this becomes your personal journey. How can you not grow when you're taking yourself along this journey, when you're seeing that and we talk a lot about not acknowledging the stripes and the belts and whatever. When you get that first stripe on your belt, that's enlightening. That's exciting. It's exhilarating. You've achieved something.
Oh, as a coach, it's sometimes my favorite thing to do is give that very, very, very first stripe on that white belt, because the eyes light up.
Yeah.
It's like deer in headlights.
There's a pride to it. There's
is.
a self-pride to it. Yeah. I achieved that. Yeah. And holy shit, when you get your blue belt, again, people, you hear it all the time, don't put weights on belts. Bullshit. I achieved it. Why would I not want to be proud about that? Why would I not want to hold on to that milestone and go, I hung in there. I was okay with being uncomfortable I got comfortable being uncomfortable in those situations so I could get to that point. And that's my kick-ass driving force to go back and do it again and get to the next level. Yeah. I don't know how anybody could get to blue, purple, brown or black and not grow. And not learn endurance, and not have self-stamina, and not have a self-belief that all of a sudden, they are fucking worth it. They really are. And, if you walk out of that gym and go into a circle of friends, family, colleagues or whatever, and they're trying to take that away from you, then maybe show them how jiu-jitsu works. I don't know.
Let me just come behind you.
Yeah. Come along for the ride.
Sink in a rear naked choke.
Let me show you how to tap. Just when it gets uncomfortable, do that.
Do you know what I think jiu-jitsu is really good at helping you establish in your day-to-day life. And it's also it's setting boundaries.
Yep.
So you become much more aware of your boundaries, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not willing to put up with. And people who have routinely overstepped boundaries in the past or gotten away with treating you poorly or, just expecting of you when you can't give, those kind of things, they will not like that you suddenly put boundaries in place to protect your own self.
Yep.
So this is where you're going to start getting backlash. And I want to make sure that we're not getting lost in the forest here, because it is about, the whole idea of being the cultiness of jiu-jitsu. I don't think it is a cult at all in any way, shape or form. As I said, you can leave at any point, but
all other people in cults don't believe they're in cults too, right? I'm just putting it out there.
Maybe there's self-reflection I need to go through here then. But
sorry,
I think that people on the outside who don't understand will feel like it almost is like that for you.
I wonder how much of that is jealousy though.
Oh, a huge part of it.
Yeah, because you do build camaraderie, right? You do build a network of friends. When you're in there long enough, you can't not.
That's right.
I promised Matt I would not make any friends in this gym. Look how well that worked out for us, honey.
Yeah, phenomenal.
He's happy.
So, yeah.
He's okay with it now.
He's okay. He's learned to accommodate. So you do, I guess, start to build relationships and friendships and all the rest of it. And if all of a sudden you're looking outwards and where you were isn't your happy place anymore, then maybe you do start to pull away.
I can see how people in jiu-jitsu would look at their friends and family members who are not in jiu-jitsu and actually start to become a little disappointed, because when you are going through the grind every day of trying to become a better person and you see family members and friends happy to just be stuck doing the same old, not standing up for anything, not driving themselves forward, not trying to be better people every day. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm getting at? How that can actually start to become frustrating.
It can.
Especially when you're in a community of like-minded people who are all striving to be better humans.
Yeah.
And then you see someone that you've maybe known all your life, like a friendship. Say you've been friends with a person for, 30 years or something, and you look at them and go, you don't try and be a better person. You don't try and have discipline or, make good decisions for yourself or, see what I'm getting at? How then you can also maybe that can turn you off people as well.
Yep, especially if they've got a lot of unhealthy habits too. I mean, you've got to live a fairly healthy lifestyle to enjoy jiu-jitsu. Like you can't be rocking up hangover every day and I'm sure there are people that can and they do, but by and large, it's a very short-lived
it's
cycle.
Always hilarious on a Saturday morning open mat.
With the hangovers.
When you see someone walk in going, I had a big night last night. And then you roll with them and literally the alcohol's coming out of the pores.
Seeping out of the pores.
But then they go, hey, I feel better now.
Yeah, I got it all out. Thanks for that. It's all over your gi now. I don't do Saturdays.
So maybe it can work two ways. Maybe, maybe your world closes in a little bit too. Because
I think it definitely does.
You do start to make friends with the people that you train with.
Yeah.
It's like CrossFit, right? CrossFit will often get the same kind of backlash from people who don't do CrossFit.
I think any sport that you make important in your world, anything, is going to have that reaction. Because if you're involved in it, if you're immersed in it, you end up being with like-minded people. And those that don't come along with you on that journey are somewhat left behind and will feel jaded, will feel like they're left behind. I've been very fortunate in that all my friends that aren't in it have all accepted that we are. And I blend the worlds quite well.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably an important part. If they're happy to be a part of the social side of it, even if they don't want to get on the mats. if they're happy.
Oh, well, how good was it that Juzzy came along to the subversion, right?
I know, right? And had a blast and is counting down for the next one. So hurry up, George. Had a whale of a time and loves it. Still knows nothing about jiu-jitsu. Is still asking some of the most hilarious questions. No, Juzzy, they're not pajamas.
I think she enjoyed the topless, the matches where the guys were just wearing shorts.
Oh, absolutely, and most of the crowd too. Like, let's face it, there's a lot of good-looking boys walking around in the crowd as well. That she had a ball of a time. It's like Drill City.
Let me get one of these athletes.
Yeah. So I think if you have people that are feeling that way, and they're not prepared to come along for the journey at the social level or accept that's part of a really important part of your world, then you have to start questioning whether or not they're the right people for you to have in your world. Have you grown so much that their opinion of your cultish world is no longer really all that important, you know?
You know, while you were talking then I was sort of laughing and I was like, it's probably magnified for me in the sense that because not only is this my hobby, but it's also my work.
Yeah, it's your business. It's your livelihood.
My business. It's my livelihood. Yeah. So where most people will train maybe 3 and 4 nights a week, I'm there 6 days a week.
Yep.
It's every single day for me. It's every single night for me.
You live and breathe it.
I do. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's a thing where business owners need a little bit of extra understanding or support out there. I'd be really interested to hear from some business owners to see if you're experiencing some of these things.
Or is your whole world and your friendship and your narrative around that all jiu-jitsu? Have you just got to a point where there is nobody else anymore?
Yeah.
Because everything about your world is so entrenched in this world that that's all you have now.
Yeah.
It's this world.
I know for me, my world has closed in a lot. There's times Grant's got such a beautiful circle of friends that he knew at school who he's still really good friends with, we go to Bulldogs games with a couple of them. We go camping with a couple of them. And I will come away sometimes from those weekends saying to Grant, man, it was just nice to be with people that don't talk about jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Because when you're with other jiu-jitsu people, you're going to share that passion and all you do is talk the whole weekend about jiu-jitsu. And I'm not hating on that. I'm here all for that. We do a podcast about jiu-jitsu. Yeah. About it, right? So I'm not saying that I don't love that, but every now and then when we get to just switch off that jiu-jitsu brain and just be not jiu-jitsu people because they don't give a shit about jiu-jitsu, it's actually really refreshing and such just a moment of like, oh, that was so nice.
It is healthy to have that balance.
Yeah.
And I know, well, sorry, I'll retract that. I don't know. I assume it would be hard to find that balance when, you have to live and breathe it. It does put food on your table and that's such an important part of life. And for any business owner out there, I would assume it would be hard to find that balance. For members, for practitioners, for people who it is a hobby, even, if for people who it's a mental health therapy room, we still get to pick and choose. And we are fortunate that we have a lot of friends that are not in this world. And so I get a lot of those moments and probably take them for granted because it's never occurred to me that I would ever have to choose or that I would be so entrenched that I wouldn't have the other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and again, also touch wood, and thank you to all my friends that aren't jiu-jitsu and therefore probably aren't listening to this podcast anyway. Mute point. Because I've never felt like somebody's pulling away from me because I'm so entrenched in this world. So I guess to people who are out there that might feel like they've got those people where they're being accused of changing not for the better or that they're in a cult or why are they spending so much time, why are you making jiu-jitsu the be-all and end-all, maybe turn around and ask those people why aren't they? Do you know, like, well, what is in your life that you've got that's important, that's driving you, that's giving you focus, that's giving you goal orientation, that's allowing you the ability to grow? What is it? Put the question back on them.
And I think you would find it that if those people had something that they were passionate about,
Absolutely.
they would understand.
Correct.
It's the people that sit around not doing anything with their life
victims.
that are going to have an issue with it.
That's right.
So, you know, there's so many times when I'm a part of quite a few groups and things on Facebook, women's only groups, Reddit, you know, this is where you get a lot of these stories happening, you know, people going, you know, my spouse is giving me an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu or him.
Jiu-jitsu.
If there's any ultimatum, it's the
Well, because there was an ultimatum.
Yes.
Because there was an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, every time.
Oh, the Kaz, that's a hard one though.
No, honestly, it's not. It's not a hard one if you bring your self-worth into it. And it's not even that I think it should be jiu-jitsu. You know, she doesn't or he doesn't, whatever, have to stay in jiu-jitsu. But the fact that that other human felt that they were powerful enough, more important to give you that ultimatum. There is a difference between somebody sitting down with their partner and saying, hey, I'm feeling like you are putting more focus, power, whatever over there, and I'm feeling like it's detrimental to us. What can we do about that?
That's right.
That's one pathway.
Yeah.
That's a conversation. That's something that I'm open to. Let's sit down, have a chat and all the rest of it. Somebody coming to the table and saying it's that or me, fuck you, it's that. And I don't care if I never do that again, it's still that. Because nobody has the right to tell you how you have to be. People can ask you how they would like you to be, and you can have a conversation about that. But the minute somebody is telling you how it has to be, see ya. You're worth more.
Yep.
Get out.
Yep.
Pick the thing, whether you're going to do it again tomorrow or not is irrelevant. So it's not hard. People make it hard.
Just don't sit around being a victim.
That's it.
Yep.
Shitty things happen.
Yep.
Shitty things happen all the time. There is trauma. People go through very traumatic experiences. Nobody's taking away from that. It's what you do post that experience that counts.
Absolutely.
And you can sit and you can wallow and you can wish it was different and you can scream it be different, and do that by all means. I have. But do it for a really short period of time and then make it your reason for change. Or sit and don't change, but don't expect me to sit there with you.
I had a spouse reach out to me this week because
Okay.
I had a spouse of a student.
Somebody else's
spouse reached out to me this week and was like, I need help because all my other half ever does is like eat, sleep, jiu-jitsu, repeat, right? Their whole world is jiu-jitsu, and I've got to buy them a present for a celebration that's coming up.
Yep.
So can you help me come up with something that would be like amazing for this person? And I'm like, I know that this person, not interested in doing jiu-jitsu for themselves, but that they cared enough and they saw the passion in their spouse to go, okay, I identify this is what you love. Let me try and find something really special for you that I think you would love. And so it came through, the coach and sort of said, give me some ideas because this is not my world, but you might have, crap. Sorry.
That was Rachel.
Sorry,
that was Rachel,
that.
producer Matt. That was all Rachel. And we've got video proof as well. I just want you to know. But for the first time in 70 episodes or whatever it was her. Just saying.
My fault. I'm so used to saying that this week. My fault.
Fuck it.
Anyway, where are we up to?
Yes, it was very lovely of that person to see. That's a partner that sees their partner, right?
I think so.
And it's so funny because it's not where I first went with that. And so I had a chat to Matt last night going, don't you ever the day before do that. Like, know me, but when you describe it like that, it's a completely different perspective.
Oh, you know
and
me.
Yes, yeah, I know, glass half full. I'm like, I'd be so pissed at you right now.
So, all right, say you have someone really important in your life that you want, that relationship means something to you, right?
Yep.
You want to hold on to it. they've been a lifelong friend, they're a brother or a sister, they're a family member, mother, father, whoever it is, that is having issues with who you are now. You've changed.
Yeah.
You don't have as much time on your plate perhaps because you're busier with training, discipline, all those things that jiu-jitsu brings with it. What are some key areas that we can talk about how to as I said, it's an important relationship. So we're not happy to just turn it back and walk away.
But see, this is where you and I will part ways again, I think, because if it's an important relationship, and this is all empowering for me because it's only been in the last sort of 5 years that I've got here.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and again, please understand, people, I'm 52. I've lived a pretty big life. I'm divorced twice. Like, it's not like I haven't made mistakes, and, I have been there. And so at 47, I started the work and I realized that if the relationship is important, as you say, then it's got to be important both ways.
Yeah.
If it's not as important to the other person, then why the fuck am I putting it on a pedestal? If jiu-jitsu is important to me and it's giving me key attributes in my life that are empowering me and making me a better human, and I'm growing happily and positively because of it, that relationship that's important to me should see that and encourage me. It shouldn't be a discussion. If it's a discussion, then it should be a discussion because they're feeling like I'm putting too much of me into this, and therefore they're having feelings about it that they would like to communicate to me in a respectful manner that sees me in that process. If I'm being told that I've changed and it's derogative, if I'm being told that I'm too much over there, if I'm being told to give some of it up to put more over here, that's not an important relationship. That's a dictatorship. I'm not going to be dictated to. Why do I have to be dictated to? I'm worth more than that. I won't dictate to you. I don't tell you you have to get on the mats. I don't tell you to put a gi on and be there at 6 o'clock and do that training course and because if I'm important to you, that's what you'll do. That's not how I treat the people that are important to me. So, no, it's not an important relationship if the person is dictating their terms to me. They're only seeing them and what they want. I don't rate in their world, so I'm not in their world.
Amen, sister.
Own your worth, my friend. all of you listening, own your worth.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. If jiu-jitsu is important to you and friends and family are giving you a hard time, start to question why. Don't arc up. Don't fight back. Ask them. Explain to them what jiu-jitsu means to you, and then ask them to find a comparative. What's their comparative?
What's important to them?
And if they don't have it, that's the catalyst of change, not you.
And what if they say, it's you that's important to me?
Then love me unconditionally and accept what I'm doing that's important to me. And let's find a balance.
Yeah.
But
I think that's important, finding a balance.
That's it, yeah. If it's a conversation, I'm all in. If it's a demand or a dictatorship, I'm all out. And I am very black and white in that regard. And it's taken me a really long time to know that I'm worth it. I'm worth the ability to be black and white in that space.
And I also think, I turn 47 in a month. Oh, my goodness.
Don't even go there. Half your luck that you're only turning 47 in a month.
Okay, glass half full.
Yeah, that's it.
And you're 52.
Yep,
right?
53 in October.
Man, sorry, that's my whoopsie.
Cuckoo.
It's my reminder to pick up my son that I don't actually need to do today. Anyway, sorry, producer Matt. We are here talking about this, and I can't remember what I was going to say then. Say that again. What was I up to? Sorry, listener.
I went to cuckoo.
We are a bit cuckoo.
I just said that it's my black and white. Like you said 50,
right.
47, 52.
So we've lived, we've lived some years on this world, right? So at this point, I'm kind of done being told.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you should be. So you absolutely should be. You're a grown-ass woman. You've made it. And again, we talk about getting to black belt and then going beyond and all the rest of it. But don't take away from what it took to get to black belt, right? And don't take away what it took to build up this successful business that you've got, And yes, you're immersed in it 6 days a week. You have to be. Yep. You're not there. It doesn't run, right? Well, we've proven that it does, but that's because of what you've put in place. But you know what I mean? Like a CEO has to do more hours than the people on the floor. That's just the game. That's how it goes. And those around you that love you and respect you and see you get that, understand that, and if there's problems within that, will talk to you respectfully about it and work with you to try and find a common ground. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think you should get a hobby. Absolutely, of course. There should be more than this. And you have to find the balance. Any gym owner out there would have to find the balance and the time to make you a priority over and above your family, your business, and your training, right? There's got to be more to life than that. Yeah. And to any business owners out there, don't lose yourself in this journey.
Yeah.
Right? That's important.
Keep something going. Like, I remember Grant recently said to me, he's like, you used to run.
Yep.
And when you run, you just seem happier.
Yep.
He goes, I don't know if it's because it's the nature of it. And I said, well, I always used to run when I was younger, right? That was kind of my thing that I chose to do. It allows me to find some sort of peace and compartmentalize my brain. I don't know if I'm talking like totally like off the left-hand side of whatever at the moment. But if other runners out there understand, it's like it unlocks parts of your brain while you're running that you don't tend to think about in any other aspect. Yep. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's less helpful. And in those times that it's less helpful, I'll put on some music or a podcast or an audio book to try to drown that noise a little bit out. I'm like, I don't want to open that door. Just go back to where you came from, thought. Like, you don't need to come visit me today. But then other times I'll be like, oh, that's why such and such happened, right? Because it helps me process. Yep. So running to me is like a really important therapeutic kind of thing. Anyway, point aside, he was saying to me, like, you should take that up again, like just to have something else for you.
That's it, 100%.
That's really
and
important.
I think that is, people can say it's a cult or that, it changes people and all the rest of it. I don't believe it's a cult. And I know what I said before, which was hilarious because I'm so funny. But I think people choose to turn up to this. People want the benefits that come from it for their own self journey, right? And, if you're having a bad time, if you're not getting the positives from it in anything in humanity, you're not going back to it. And a heap of fucking people come to jiu-jitsu. So obviously there's benefits in there and you're getting something from it. Those on the outside looking in, you know what? At the end of the day, let them think whatever they want. Honestly, why do we care?
Yep.
Okay, fine. Think we're in a cult? Yoo-hoo! 2 thumbs up. Whatever. I don't care. Go nuts. Go
We don't
hard.
think it's a cult because we're in it.
That's it. That's exactly right. We don't think it's a cult because we're in it. And I will bow before I get on a mat because that's just what's ingrained in me. And now even because you guys don't bow going onto the mats, right, at Iconic?
No.
In my head, I pause for a second before I step onto the mat, and in my head I do a secret little bow. And then
You
I
can
walk on.
bow.
I know I can, but I don't. I've now conditioned, because we condition ourselves to our environment.
That's true.
And so because Iconic doesn't bow to go onto the mats, and because historically, not because of Gracie Baja, because of my 20 years in Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And I had to bow to go onto the mats in any there as well. So it is so ingrained in me. And so, I just... I
I had a student bow before they walked in the door the other day.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Well, I see where that would come from. I think in a lot of martial arts there is that respect element that says you must bow before you walk into the dojo.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it before. Look, we have the rule at Iconic that there's really no rule on that. If you want to bow onto the mats, you can bow. If you don't want to, you don't need to. We're not going to pull you up on it.
There's no judgment, which is beautiful.
You know, whenever I go to another gym and visit, I will always just eye off a couple of the students, and if they bow, like the local students, not other visitors, but if they bow, I'll bow. Like I just you know, when in Rome,
follow the trend, which is fair, right? And that's respect.
Did we cover the topic though today?
Oh, probably not.
No, I don't care.
Maybe it was a good topic.
We got lost in the trees a little bit.
Do you know? Look, if we jump into hope, right? Honestly, today, and I know that we tried to debunk whether or not it's a cult. I don't think you'll ever debunk that. I really don't. I think people who aren't in it will never understand it. And people who are in it, that are passionate about it, will always defend it. And so the two will never meet. But I guess ultimately at the end of the day, the point of today was more about, are you getting negativity for doing jiu-jitsu, or for being passionate about jiu-jitsu, or for evolving through your journey on the mats into a stronger, more confident, more adapt, more resilient person. And my takeaway from this today, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, was, you know, are people judging you negatively for becoming that person?
Yep.
And my argument always is, why are you judging me negatively? What is it about you that is not encouraging of the person I'm becoming? And that will always be my first question before I give anybody an answer. What is it about you that is not encouraging of the person I'm becoming?
Yeah.
Because I really like the person I'm becoming.
That's really profound.
I think in that regard, absolutely we nailed it today. Because those fucktards can fuck right off.
Number 3.
There you go. Ting ting.
You're going to run out. You've only got 52.
Oh, damn.
I know.
That's okay. Grant didn't reckon there was one in the last episode, so I'm siding with him now.
Oh, I know there was. I know there was. I actually did a little side eye to see his reaction, and he didn't react at all. You just slipped right on past it.
And I kept going too. So, yes. But we all know I got one in, so I probably lost that one.
So what is your hope today?
All right, my hope, and you know, I am an avid believer in this, and I know it sounds so cliche, and everybody's going, the talk, walk the talk, blah, 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 blah. How you talk to yourself will determine the person you are. And it took me a really, really long time to understand that. Everybody says you've got to talk positively to yourself, and self-talk is a real thing, and I never believed it until recently. I am worth my journey. I am worth the fight. I am worth the ownership and my self-belief, and I am okay with who I am. And therefore, those around me that don't see it, don't count. Either be prepared to work with me or don't. Those that come along with me are worth it for me. Those that don't are no longer. And I hope everybody listening today, if nothing else, please take that away from this episode. Be worth your journey. Know that you're worth your journey. And if there's somebody out there criticizing you for evolving, growing, getting stronger, walking 2 inches taller, question why they're not happy for you. What is it about them that is stopping them being happy for you? Don't take this on as your journey. Their opinion of you is not who you are, because everybody's opinion will differ.
That's true.
So that's my hope. My hope is everybody listening to this episode takes away what their worth is.
Yep.
What's your hope?
Well, look, in full disclosure, so I have had someone in my life this week say to me, "You're not the person you used to be." And it wasn't said in a positive way.
Nope.
And so that's probably really the unraveling of this episode.
Yep.
Right? Maybe if I'd said that at the start, everyone would go, have a clue what we're talking about today. Now they'll go, that makes
the penny
sense.
drops.
The thing is, I'm really happy with who I am today.
Good.
And I'm really happy with the person that I am. And I know that I'm a good person. And I know that I help people. And I'm actively trying to improve myself, and I'm actively trying to help other people. That to me says everything that I need to know about myself. You know, I'm always open to reflection. I'm sure that day is coming very soon where I'll be, you know, told that I need to reflect and need to be better and need to do this and need to do that. And some of it I'll take on board, and some of it I may just go, I'm not listening anymore. But when you've got people in your life that are trying to hold you back or aren't happy for your growth or don't want to see you be the best version of you because it doesn't give them what they need from you, and I think that's probably where it comes from, then you do need to make decisions in your life about how you're going to have that person in your life or remain in your life, or what kind of relationship that's going to look like, or whether you have it at all. So these are all questions that we've got to deal with. And, you know, life's not perfect. It's a roller coaster of a ride. That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Because if it was boring and it was the same old thing every single day without ever, you know, having a hiccup along the way, then we wouldn't need to grow and get better and be resilient or more confident or have all of these things, right? It just wouldn't be a thing.
If it was easy, no one would grow.
That's right. So I'm all for the growth. I'm here for the growth. I'm here for the feedback. I'm here for, you know, whatever I'm about to be thrown at me. But I actually kind of really like who I've become. So if you're out there in the same boots, I suppose, maybe have a little think about that for yourself too. Do you like who you're becoming because of this journey? Has jiu-jitsu helped you in that way? You know, if people are coming at you with negativity, let it slide off you. And don't be afraid to look inwards. I mean, I think that we have to do that every single night we step on the mats anyway. We have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
The mats don't lie, right? So we have to have that truth and that element of truth. So, you know, be open, be honest with yourself and with whoever is giving you that grief in your life. So,
and guys, please understand too, with all of this comes pain. It does. We're humans, and sometimes cutting away people who we thought were something that they don't end up being, that's hurtful. I'm not saying it's not emotional, but I am saying it's a choice.
And then if people choose to walk away from us,
let them be.
You can't control anyone.
That's exactly right. That's 100% correct.
Yeah.
You cannot control what other people think and feel.
Yeah.
You can offer communication, you can have conversations, but you got to do you, boo. Do you. Look inwards. Are you happy with who you are? And if you're not happy, then it's a change or a choice. Yeah. You either choose to say or you change what you're not happy about. It's all in your control. Yeah. Live your life. It's a choice or a change.
Another heavy topic for today.
Woo!
Let's do something lighter next week.
Okay, I'm in. We're getting your husband back, aren't we, for another round too?
Hopefully.
Ching, ching!
Hopefully we can get him back in the next couple of weeks, but we'll see how we go.
Yes.
Actually, we do have a fun podcast episode coming up.
We do.
Yes.
We're doing a collaboration. Oh, look at us, twinsies.
So we won't give full details away yet, but we'll put something up on the socials in advance of it, and obviously when it drops,
that's awesome.
It'll be really cool.
That's how Twin Town come together.
What's Twin Town?
Well, that's when, you know, satellite cities come together somehow as, you know. Well, we're doing a collaboration with another
podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Twinsies over there and us, and we're coming together. That's how Twin Towns come together.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. It makes sense in my head. Well, Matt's switched off as well. All right, I'll just shut up now. We'll
You
cut
do
that
the
bit
thing
out.
today. You do the like, share, subscribe.
Oh, okay. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, and like on all our socials and all the places where you listen. Can we tell that I don't do this very often?
I just wanted to see you try. Until next week, thank you so much for sitting with me this week. I had a blast, as always. I love this hour of the week.
Me too.
All right. And we'll see you all next week too.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I don't know how to do that.
This podcast is a My Broken Soldier production.
And brought to you by Iconic Jiu-Jitsu.